to our intent to leave a positive impact on the world and to use our time and our energy to do so. So I'm actually an introvert. I get extremely nervous being up on stage, but one of the reasons I do this is because I do want to leave a positive impact, and I think that in showing myself as a nervous, awkward woman of color who's also successful in digital and technical fields, I can encourage more people to show up in environments like this and more diversity in our industry. So that's a little bit about me. What else about me? I am an executive board member for the AIGA National Board of Directors. That's a volunteer role. I also work at Automatic, which is a company with a mission to democratize publishing and commerce with products including WordPress.com. There I lead our internal creative studio with these fine folks. Hi, team. I didn't tell them I was going to put them on stage. I'm clearly the most mature of the group. See here. What else? I'm actually the chair of this conference. So again, thank you for joining us. I was a little nervous nobody would show up. It's just one of those phobias you have when you plan a conference. So I'm very happy to see all of your faces. One of the first responsibilities I had in putting together this conference was picking a theme that would center our work, our conversations, and the extended design community together in our time over the next few days. And I chose culture for a few reasons. First, I believe that culture is what centers most of our work, and we have the ability to affect culture with our designs and our creations. I think that whether we're affecting culture through our partners, through the companies that we work at, or if we have the opportunity to affect it on a local or national or even international stage, that's an increase in power and opportunity for the community. So I'm going to get more into the topic of culture. You're going to be hearing a lot about it over the next few days. But to start, I'm going to shape the kind of 4 categories that I thought about culture in that you should see embedded throughout our main stage speakers and our symposia over the next few days. The first is thinking about culture and its overall effect on our work. In other words, what are ways that the cultures that we're a part of end up impacting the creations that we make in both good and bad ways? So you'll hear a lot of explorations of that. The second is improving design culture. So really looking at what we can do to make the design industry inclusive, inviting, and really last and enticing for future generations. The third is improving workforce culture, or looking at the ways that we can make our companies and the environment hospitable to communities and vibrant to create our best work. And then lastly, the fourth is building positive cultures with our careers and our work, which is about that broader impact that we can make in the creations on communities. That all make sense to you? You following along? Excellent. So I have the honor of getting us started by sharing just a little bit about how I see the opportunity for designers to move from some of the tactical work that we're really good at into some of that more culture building work. So I'll break that down a little bit for you and then get out of the way so you can hear all the exciting folks that I pulled together. So I use a framework that has design in 3 main categories, and this is just to kind of help us think this through. The first category is design as a tactical driver, and this is where design alters a really discrete product or service or communication. The second is design for system innovation, where design alters an existing system or creates a new one to make service that is a little bit more effective. And then the third is design as a catalyst for transformation, and this is where design changes attitudes and behaviors and really has the effect of changing culture over time. And I think it's kind of hard to like understand them when they're laid out this way, so I'm going to go into this a little bit deeper and talking about each of them and how they relate, actually using a modified version of this Winterhouse Symposia for Design Education Social Change 4 Matrix. It's a mouthful. So first, to get familiar with the matrix, one side we have the scale of impact, which is from individual impacts, low level, to a higher community impact at the top. On the other axis, we have who's needed to create the work, and that ranges from the individual to a broader group, or a cross-sector kind of collaboration. So that's how we get this matrix. It's really simple. And I'm just going to plot those three categories on this matrix, walk you through it. Design as a tactical driver fits in the bottom left corner because it usually just involves an individual designer or a small group. It affects a discrete product, communication, or service directly in the audience of that group. Design for system innovation fits right in the middle. It has a broader scale of impact. Instead of just changing one product or communication, there's a chance to actually make something that scales and it can impact multiple projects and communications. So it requires collaboration from a few more types of individuals to get that work done. It's more system-oriented, so it's a little bit more impact from that. And then obviously design as a catalyst for transformation ends up in this top right-hand corner because it requires a cross-disciplinary group, cross-industry and organizational group sometimes to get this work done. And its impact is much higher. It's creating impact at a cultural or community level. So really simple. Just to kind of orient you a little bit more on the differences between these, the timeline for something designed as a tactical driver is really low. It's really quick to get those projects out, whereas the timeline for design as a catalyst for transformation is higher. And this also relates to the risk and the reward. It's fairly low risk to create a discrete product, where it's a lot more high risk, or to alter a discrete product, it's a lot more high risk to alter a community, and it takes a whole lot more time. So both the risk and the reward are higher on that end. You all following along? So it's still slightly abstract, so I'm gonna just plug in some examples from where I work at Automatic to help make it a little bit more tangible for the group. So an example of design as a tactical driver is somebody from Automatic changing the WordPress.com sign-up flow to make it easier for folks to sign up for our product. Requires maybe a designer and a developer, and they have a really specific audience. The system example is collaborating to create design patterns that can function across projects. Maybe those are components and pieces that can work for multiple of our projects and products, and it usually requires collaboration from a few more people, maybe writers, designers, developers alike. And then you see how big the jump is here. An example of changing culture includes making tech noticeably more inclusive. That can't be done by anybody at Automatic alone. That would require maybe one or two representatives from our company, along with representatives from multiple companies, to alter the culture that we exist within, as well as changing our own culture for the better. Now, I think each of these areas is really important. Design as a tactical driver. We obviously need to create communications and products. That's a lot of the work that we do. So, too, we need systems, right? Otherwise, we get stuck in this tactical work day to day. The more we can create systems, the bigger challenges that we have space to create solutions for. And then design as a catalyst for transformation. Who wouldn't want to make this long-lasting, impactful work that can make an impact on a community at scale? Instead of one individual, maybe it's a whole township or a nation. But I think to really be able to do this work, we have to start training folks into it. It's very natural for folks to get involved with design as a tactical driver. That's, it's a lower time frame, less less risk. That's also how most design schools are brought up to teach people how to design. And so people come into the design industry much more strong and willing to kind of jump into those types of challenges. And I think that we see that we learn and grow over time to create more systems work. But where we haven't quite developed the skills yet, and we're just starting to tap into, are these design as a catalyst for transformation examples. We're really pulling designers away from the problems that might be right in front of us and super clear to these really big problems that we can use the brain power of creatives to solve over time. Now, notably, they each take collaboration to get done. These aren't things that are done by designers alone, from the tactical driver work to the cultural transformation work. So I'm going to step into something that's happening online right now, into a discussion. Some of you may have seen there was talk about, are designers design leaders, or are designers supporting actors? Have you heard some of that discussion happening online? A few people have. I'm going to share my personal opinion on it. I think that it's not a zero-sum game. Designers can be design leaders, creating things that are making an impact in the world. But we're also supporting actors for many of our partners at the same time. We're not doing this work alone. We rely on one another to create really meaningful work. Jump in. So that's just a little bit about my perception. I think that we have an opportunity to move into that space and do more. But you're going to hear about culture and the opportunities to impact culture and the ways that designers are creating change in small and big ways across industries from a variety of people over the course of the next couple of days. I'm only sad that you can't actually be in every symposium at the same time. So if you're here with a group, make sure to share notes and talk with one another about the findings that you have. And first, to do well in this space and to really embrace and affect change within the design organization, within the design community by being here, I'm going to challenge each of us, or ask you all to make a commitment with me to also do 3 things throughout the next few days. The first is to actually take a growth mindset as you move into every talk that you attend. And this means going into each talk with the sense that you have something to learn from the person who is up there presenting. And now that doesn't mean that you have to agree with everything that they say or subscribe to the same ideals, but I think by going in there with an attitude of learning, we're going to come out much more connected. The second thing I'm going to ask you to do is actually to fight cynicism. There are a lot of reasons to be pessimistic when you read the news and go out into the world these days. So I'm going to ask you to just shake that all off of you for the next few days and just be here with us in a moment. We want to look realistically at what's happening in the world around us and then think optimistically about where we could go. And to do that, we need to fight cynicism. And lastly, I'm going to ask you to celebrate wins with us. You're going to hear about people that are doing things that you never even knew were possible. And it's going to be easy to just let those go after you hear about them and move on. But I'm going to ask you to applaud those individuals, lift them up at the work that they're doing, and share it with the community so that we can get that excitement and that feeling of change going in a broader landscape throughout our culture. And speaking of celebrating wins, we have a really unique opportunity at this conference to celebrate the 2019 Medal Award winners, the Stephen Heller Prize for Cultural Commentary winners, and our Corporate Leadership Award. So, over the next few days, you're going to be bombarded with information, meeting new people, staying out late, and having a good time. But I just ask that you don't go too hard, because we're going to have a celebration on Saturday night. Thank you all so much.